Hello and welcome to Arsenal Above All. How you doing, Brian? I've got Brian with me to
Yeah,
discuss that win, that interesting win against was it KAIRAT? Is it Kai Havertz? No, FC. No, it's KAIRAT FC. We beat tonight to go through to obviously not to go through. We already knew that already, but to progress with 8 out of 8. First time it's been done in this new format. So congratulations to the guys. But how you doing, Brian?
yeah, not too bad, Mike. Not too bad. Yeah, it'd be interesting to have a conversation upon particularly the last week, should we say? But
Yes,
obviously, well, let's start.
yes.
Let's start with this evening as well.
Yeah, I won't talk to you about Sunday. We don't need to go back
Yeah,
over
yeah.
that.
Don't
But
take over, old Brad.
yeah, but let's get into it. The 3-2 win in the end. They got a goal right at the end. The team, Kairat Almaty. What did you think of that overall performance, Brian? Was it a bit of a palate cleanser after what you had to swallow on Sunday afternoon? Obviously, with the lineup obviously coming out, obviously we all were kind of praying that Kai Havertz would feature, and it was great obviously to see him in the starting lineup and lots of changes, which I think everybody kind of wanted after Sunday. What was your thoughts just on the way we uh, set up and the difference in the fluidity that you saw in that first half, bro?
Look, I think other than the Calafiori mistake, which we'll come on to, I think we look pretty. We look. It was the 11 effectively, which I kind of predicted. To be honest with you,
Hmm.
I was glad to see Christian Norgard um, play as well as obviously as well as Kai. Um, yeah, we did look. I think we have to take into consideration the opposition as well. Most importantly,
Yeah,
um, I, if you can't try things in a game like that with that particular personnel, then there's going to be a lot more questions and answers
yeah,
over the coming games to come. Um, so yeah, look, I was. Look, it's always a hard game to read. It was effectively a dead rubber. It
yeah,
was giving people minutes to have a bit of a run out, try different things. Actually, in a game which didn't really matter, which was good. I think it showed a little bit of positivity in some aspects of it. I said, yes, there's still the mistakes, should we say, which we'll probably come on to as well. But other than that, it was very good to see Kai Havertz back. Yeah, and kind of his deep line runs, which really kind of gave us a little bit something a bit different
yeah,
as,
yeah,
as well. I think it actually kind of helped Victor Gorkres as well up there. It felt like he actually had someone around him as well, that he wasn't necessarily doing a lot of the work all himself. Um, but it's how now in games to come how that's going to fit in. By the looks of things, Kai Havertz he had 45 minutes tonight. It's unlikely that he will probably at least start the game against Leeds at the weekend.
yeah.
Um, he may get a few minutes in that game, but it was good to see. Yeah, it was good to see.
Yeah, it was great to see him, and obviously he started as he meant to go on. With Victor Yorker scoring so early, and it was just great to see him trying to find Yorker as much as he could. He's like literally every time he kind of had the ball in that position, he was looking up, and he was, and Yorker was confident enough to continue making the runs that he's been making. Um, but the fact that he was getting found as well, so it was a great start for him. Could have ended up with 4, maybe even 5 goals if you're being, truthful. He missed some good chances. There's one he knocked over when Martinelli put it on a plate to him, and he skied it over from a couple of yards out, which was pretty bad. But yeah, still looked a bit cumbersome, still looked a bit awkward, didn't he, in certain places where we had it in tight spaces. But it's just the difference of Havertz just having that. He's got it all, hasn't he? He's got the physical side of it. He's quick and technically he's good as well. And it's just really, I think he's going to be key. I
Oh yeah,
mean, I kind of not had a go, but I was kind of thinking, well, look, people are, saying that Kai's going to be the one to save us and kick us on, but it's not so much goals that he scores is just the way he unlocks everybody else, you know, in that with Gyökeres and obviously Martinelli to a certain extent. But I thought Eze played well as well. He was always trying on the, you know, and doing stuff, you know, on the front foot. There were a couple of times where he played. I thought in that first half he was just as good. I mean, yes, you've got to take into account the opposition, but I thought that, you know, as an attacking unit, that was probably the most sort of enjoyable that I've seen in a long time. And you know, pretty much even Miles as well. He was doing a lot of good stuff as well. And yeah, we'll talk about Madueke because the guy's so frustrated, man. He's so frustrated. I don't know. I mean, we'll go into it a little bit more, but we'll just go into the comments a bit. Yeah, Steve's here. How you doing, Steve? Saying, you know, what a crazy last night. Yeah, lots of crazy results in the Champions League last match day. Steve doesn't know what happened on Sunday, which is pretty good for him. Well done. Brenny, how you doing? Brenny said impressive performance from Norgard. Yeah, I thought he was pretty good as well. This is Samira Ramirez, first person to like. Thank you very much for liking the show. Really appreciate that. And then Steve saying Norgard played very well in every game that he's seen him and his involvement in the third goal was special. Yes, absolutely. And he says Havertz in the AM role feeding Gyökeres look good. Absolutely. Brady says if Wenger, Emery and Graham were in charge, they would start Eze over Odegaard. Yeah, pretty much is right. And none lacks that finishing touch. Yeah, he lacks other bits as well, I think, which we'll go into. So, I mean, with Madueke, I mean, you know, we won 3-2. Okay, it could have been more, should have been more. Disappointed to let in 2 goals, but I think with Madueke, sometimes it's like he just doesn't. Not that he doesn't take it seriously, but he just hasn't got that. You know, you got like pride in your job. You know, like professional pride sort of thing in making sure you do things right. And it's like he just doesn't. His decision making is really bad, but it's just like he's just so. The composure is just not there at all. I mean, the last shot he had when he cut inside, what the hell was that? I mean, that's not good, right? That's not good at all. No matter how you look at it, you know, there's no composure whatsoever, and that was the only negative for me. That was the only negative for me. Just how he's just so frustrating. He does so many little good bits, but his decision making. When to put in, and then when to beat his man, and then when to shoot. He just, you know, he's been around the block. You know, he shouldn't be doing things like that. What are your thoughts on his performance, bro?
Yeah, look, he is gifted. There isn't a question about that. I think the issue, as you quite rightly said, is it overall decision making.
Yeah.
You know, in a final four. Because look, we've already seen this season. You know, he has a beating of a man with it. You know, either with pace or with a trick. But it's that end product, which is the actual issue. And I think how can I put this? I think with him, there's a level where he is trying to prove a point.
Yeah.
And he's trying to prove that point. The fact is because he's obviously got Saka in front of him as well. And Saka's basically in front of him in the England squad as well. So he's kind of got points to prove, but he's not proving those points by doing the simplest things.
Yeah.
He does all the difficult stuff, but the simple things he doesn't seem to do well.
Yeah. I think
that's a problem.
Yes, and I think that kind of in the first half, it seemed like the attack were kind of making the right decisions. We played some lovely little intricate stuff and created chances. But in the second half, we just seemed to revert to type, to these, you know, indecision, taking extra touches when it wasn't necessary, not shooting again when we should shoot, and shooting when we should lay it off. I don't know whether that's the influence of Odegaard. You know, he came in and the fluidity was nowhere near what it was in that first half. Whether that was KAIRAT just dropping off a little bit, pretty much were encamped in there for the whole duration. I think it was slightly more transitional in the first half, but I just can't get my head around the decision making still. You know, especially in the second half. You know, Martinelli, there was a chance when he could have he should have played it across to Gyökeres, you know, but he decides to slash it in the near post. It's like what are you doing? And then and then the minutes before he puts a deeper crossover when he could. Do you know what I mean? It's baffling, and I don't know how you get past that, you know, because I think that's where it's going to boil down to. I just think we need this attack to click for 5 or 6 games in the league, and then that should take us away from the chasing pack. I don't get it, man. I really am a bit worried about the aspects of the game today.
Yeah, it is frustrating, but I think it was 11. You know, we were kind of looking at an entire new 11 that started today, so there were going to be some people who were going out there to try and perform, should we say, with games to come. What did we could probably got to ask ourselves, what did we realistically learn from tonight? Not too sure that we learned an awful lot tonight, other than that we were slightly a bit more progressive. There was some nice touches here and there. You know, we're playing a bit more in front of us, a bit more. Certainly in the first half, as you said, in the second half, the introduction of Martin Odegaard, I think there's plenty of debate around his situation. That's for sure.
Yeah.
It really does not help that the fact that obviously he is the club captain, in that sense as well. You know, I don't know if his performances are too much on the basis that everybody just looks at him, or he actually just looks at himself too much, that he has to do too much.
Yeah.
And it doesn't actually benefit the team in that sense. So that's something that, I think the team around him have to probably look at just as much as himself. Yeah. Because if we're allowing him to come on and do certain things in the game, which is kind of affects our sort of progression and how we're moving the ball forward and so on, then we've got to ask ourselves as a team around us, that there's got to be, what are we actually doing? What are we actually doing to try and affect a certain situation when he's on the pitch? Because when he joined us, when he was on loan, and when he obviously joined us permanently, we saw the progression of him. We saw the goals, we saw the assists. But to me, it looks like it's just too much. Oh, I'm the captain here. I've actually got to bring. It kind of centers around me. Our football centers around me, and it's like, it's not. It's to the detriment in some respects to some of the team now. Other than him and Saka to a certain degree, it's becoming a bit of a detriment. So that's I think something to kind of be watched and watch closely in the games to come. That's for sure. And I think what Eze showed tonight was that, he's prepared to kind of travel with it, turn and travel, and then play the quick pass, not turn and turn and turn and turn. I better play the pass now. And that's what we see too much about with Martin Odegaard, I think, at the moment.
Yeah, that was the only, again, that was a slight negative, kind of reverted to type, slowing things down a lot. Maybe that's what Arteta brought him on there, to make sure he kind of did that, just controlled it and keep the ball ticking over. But when you see the
game like that.
And that's the frustrating thing, right? Because you think, you're 3-1 up, you've got to put it on the team a little bit more. He had a chance with a header as well, I think a couple of chances. But again, I just think the finishing and decision making again, just left a lot to be desired. Really, you know, he's really disappointing. We should have run up, you know, at least 5 or 6 against these guys, giving everybody a little bit of boost of confidence going into the next set of games that we've got. But yeah, it was a bit of a damp second half. But you know, we did all the work. Obviously, the previous 7 match days, and as we said, obviously we knew we were through before. We guaranteed top spot because obviously the results that took place elsewhere. But before we went on to that, obviously we made a couple of Arteta made a couple of big shouts with giving debuts to a couple of youngsters. Ibrahim, who on the right, who's a centre midfielder, who's a sort of defensive midfielder, quite rangy, quite tall, quite raw still, but yeah, bit of a reward for him for signing a new contract with the club, his pro contract, and Brandon Bailey Joseph. Who's a winger, is rapid as well. So again, that was a surprise, but great to see these 2 kids get some minutes, man. Because again, it just bodes well for the future moving forward. Yeah. And obviously, you're able to do that with the bigger bench you can use in the Champions League as well. So that was a great touch from Arteta. You know, to give those kids a little bit of a boost, and you can imagine them going back to London Coley tomorrow and catching up with their under 20 mates and filling them in with the stories of what happened and everything like that. So that was a nice touch. But on to the actual Champions League, Bri, the table itself, finishing first. Obviously, maximum points has not been done before in this new format. We've not won 8 games straight in the Champions League in any of the formats. So again, history made there in that regards. I think 7 was the record, so we've extended that. Just the 4 goals conceded. You know, again, you think we let in 2 tonight, which were pretty poor. Silly from Calafiore. We didn't touch on that, but just a bit silly. What is he panicking for in that situation there? I mean, again, in the boxes. In both boxes, we're just making really silly decisions, and just hope it just doesn't cost us in the long run. But 4 goals conceded, 23 scored. Bayern had a bit of a fight tonight as well. They managed to squeak through a win. I think they were drawing at one point. Liverpool, obviously our neighbours, in 4th, which is crazy. But when you look if you look at their fixtures or who they've played in their run, it's probably the only team that they've played is PSG, I think, away from home, and they held 5 in that game anyway. I know they scored 3, but they got dealt with. But if you look at their fixtures or who they actually played, I mean, it's probably not even Europa League run. It's Conference League level pretty much. So they're there on the 4th position. They will get dealt with when they they're going to get dealt with, so we don't need to worry about them. And obviously our old friends Barcelona, they're in 5th, Chelsea in 6th, Sporting Lisbon in 7th, and City just climbing over before the door closes, getting in 8th place. So that obviously
leaves a very, very interesting playoff.
Yes, Madrid again in the playoffs again. You know, they don't seem to like this phase type of thing. Obviously Inter, PSG, Newcastle, Juventus, Atletico, Atalanta, Leverkusen, and then Dortmund, Olympiacos, and they're the 4 that we could face. So Atalanta, Bayer Leverkusen, Borussia Dortmund, or Olympiacos will be one of those that we'll end up facing. Those that have gone out, Marseille are out, one of the big ones. PSV, Napoli, have had a bad one as well.
Napoli was the one really, because that's one you kind of would have, if they'd have got into the playoffs and got through any of the playoffs, that's one you wanted to avoid. Even though Chelsea got obviously a result there tonight, but it's still one you don't. It's not one of the ones you really would want to go to. That's a little bit of a surprise.
How are you feeling about
Sporting? Is the one. That's a kind of a surprise.
That is.
I think there's a surprise packaging in that side of things, to the expense of particularly kind of Real Madrid. because obviously, them getting beat 4-2 tonight was ultimately lost their spot. So,
Yeah.
and lost their spot probably to Sporting in that sense. So, interesting. Yeah.
But what's your thoughts on that four that we could face potentially? What's your
Look, even in the old format of the Champions League, when it gets to the last 16, that's the business end. It's knockout football. Whoever you're going to play in the last 16 is going to be a difficult tie, and those four will be a difficult tie. Whatever and we're fortunate in some aspects, obviously, to have the second leg at home. But that none of those four have got a mugs in European football at the end of the day. Even we've had our troubles with Olympiacos in the past.
Yes.
So 80,000 at Dortmund at the wall. So this is and the same thing with kind of Atalanta and Leverkusen obviously fallen slightly a little bit away since obviously Xabi Alonso left, but that's still a tricky tie. So those four there are no gimmies there. There are no gimmies there, but you don't expect to have any gimmies in the last 16 of the Champions League anyway. So
yeah. Going to be interesting. And obviously, you think the usual suspects, PSG. I think there was a story going around where Luis Enrique actually said he didn't mind PSG going in the playoffs because they're out the cup, so they've got their calendar is as stacked as it is, and they will probably won the league. I know it's quite tight this year, compared to last year where they kind of won the league in February sort of thing, but. I think they're looking at a couple of extra games. That'll be fine to get everything over. Unlike us, where it was like we want to make sure obviously we qualify there. It's a shame Tottenham didn't get sucked into the playoffs because that would have added a couple of games between us playing them in the North London derby as well. So that would have been interesting. But they haven't got to worry about that now. But yes, I think we should have too much for whoever it is we play. We just got to make sure how Arteta manages that first leg. That's the key thing, and all of them are going to be up for it because where we've got the target on our back, haven't we? We're the ones top and the favourites and what have you. So that's how it's going to play out. So yeah, it'd be interesting to see who we get. We won't find that out until the second leg of when they do the draw. I think it's the end of around middle of February. I think it is. As well, so yeah, it should be interesting to see who we get. But let's go back into the.
And I think Mike. I think we've again. It's always about lessons learned as well because we've got to have some lessons with regarding to what happened with Liverpool last season when they topped the table, and then they weren't to be seen after the last 16. So it's kind of there's some lessons learned from last season in this new format. That there is no gimmies in there, and a bad first leg could end it effectively. You know what I mean? Regardless of the home leg being, the second leg being at home, a bad first leg could leave us open. So we've got. It's quite funny, isn't it? Really, because we've been criticising to a certain degree how our performances generally have been and the way that we've played, but it's probably in this kind of format and probably in European type football, we're probably ideal for it. We are probably ideal for it because we won't give as much away, and certainly away from home we won't give an awful lot away, and I think that will probably be the thing that will see us if we're going to make any strides in it, that will be it. It will kind of be it certainly will be how we hold ourselves in the away legs, and that's everybody could turn around and say that should be the case, but as I said, if you end up getting a tank in somewhere, your home legs are relevant.
Yes, yeah. So it's going to be interesting, but this is what we want. This is we've got the squad to do it. I think everyone's going to be mindful of what we're capable of doing. You're going to hope that some couple of the big teams, will knock each other out. There's going to be some interesting matchups in the playoffs, and then obviously they're going to then filter through to that the last 16 stage, and yeah, you could end up having an interesting quarterfinal, probably against an English side. We'll see, but yeah, as Arteta said in his press conference yesterday, you've got to try and make it exciting and fun and try and go for it. I don't think we can sit back and take it easy anymore. We've got to try and attack this thing and try and get over the line, because he's tried the other ways and it's not worked. And let's hope that Kai Havertz, if he's going to be doing that, coming back with that sort of purpose, then let's hope that we can nurse him through. Maybe have another 20-25 minutes against Leeds, because obviously he won't. I don't think he'll start. But yeah, I think the way he played and unlocked a lot of people tonight was very a massive plus in terms of what we saw on Sunday and how stagnant that was. It was just wasn't right. But the only thing is that we saw a little bit of it in the second half, and with the missed chances. What's your thoughts on the weekend, Bri? A lot of talk about Odegaard. He should be dropped. Obviously, Rice and Mourinho couldn't play tonight, so you might have maybe seen Mourinho come on for a bit and maybe see what he could have done. But what's your thoughts on Saturday? I think we said in the show yesterday, it is basically about, it's a cup final now, isn't it? That's how you've got to approach it, because everybody else is going to be doing that regardless of what we think. So what's your thoughts on that one against Leeds?
I think I'd start with personnel, to be honest with you, but I wouldn't be afraid of playing Christian Norgard in that game. I think he's kind of experience of, and we don't want to be disrespectful to Leeds, but they are a promoted side coming from the Championship. Christian Norgard has been with Brentford for a number of years, playing in the Premier League and probably in the Championship against sides like that. You probably need an experienced head like that in a game like that at Ellen Road, where it is going to be hot. It's the Leeds fans are going to be well and truly up for a game like that, and you might need that type of experience in your team to get you over the line. I think, and that's not. And now the question would be, well, who do we kind of drop? You can take, to me, you could probably take a Martin Zubimendi out of that game, because the way how that game will be against that crowd, and that's nothing against him, but sometimes you have to just work against what you are up against.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
And you're going to be up against the side who's going to be very, it's going to be up for it because they need the points themselves. That's for a start. They're going to have a real hostile crowd, and you're really going to need some experience, is what I would say, and a bit of character in a game like that, to take the game by the scruff of the neck when it gets a little bit tasty, because it probably will. Other than that, the Martin Odegaard situation, it's just such a difficult one. Yeah, and I think, look, particularly, I think if Kai Havertz was 3 or 4 games into coming back, I probably would have started him over Odegaard, to be honest.
Yeah.
I think it's come far too soon. And again, we could look at the fact of, obviously there's the Eze situation there as well, but I think in games like that, I think for Eze would be, to be honest with you, will probably be some, where we might have to look at kind of unlocking stuff in the last 15-20 minutes.
Yeah,
that might be the time when you need an Eze to come into a game like that. So so look, we know the usual suspects will come back in, but my personal view, I would certainly put in a Christian Norgard in a game like that. I think if Leeds expecting a Zubimendi, they might target him, particularly after last weekend.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
And again, it's not, trying to take him out of the line of fire for the mistake that he made or anything. I just think it's the type of game that we probably don't necessarily need him in, but we need something different in it.
Yeah. I think Norgard would be a good shout. I thought he played really well tonight. Again, you got to look at the opposition, but I don't think he's done anything wrong in when he has been called upon. I think he's even played obviously centre back as well, hasn't he? And he's stepped up. So I think you're right in that kind of game. You know, them physically as well, aerially as well. Obviously, you've got KAIRAT Lewin, and they've got obviously the big boys as well. So, so you kind of got to almost horses for courses a little bit. So it'd be interesting to see what happens, what he does. But yeah, I think after the lineup tonight, when you saw that Odegaard was on the bench, and I think a lot of us wanted him to play, so that kind of meant that he wasn't going to play at the weekend. I think because he didn't, that probably means now that he will start, and we'll probably see kind of what we saw that second half again. You know, just a slowing down of opportunities. Brenny, you said I will start Norgard on Saturday, play him with Rice and Eze as a 3-man mid. Those three will be up for a scrap, but the manager will have a 3-man midfielder to many Rice and Odegaard. Yeah, that's pretty much what he's going to do. He said he wanted Madueke to step up tonight, and he didn't. Yeah, it's just frustrating, and it kind of just got worse for him as the game went on. Just the lack of professionalism, like in certain aspects of his game. It's just very sort of just off the cuff, and almost the attitude like he's playing down goals with his mates, sort of thing. Over at the mark. He's just having a kick about. And there's I can't find my words tonight, but there's just no. There's no comeback to, if he can do it. He's kind of like a little bit blasé about the way he plays, because I can't believe someone like him who has all of that, but he's produced no, goals or assists in the Premier League. Obviously, he's got a couple of goals. He's got 3 goals in the Champions League, but it's like he's got to be having some end product. He's just got no end product. It's quite. It really is disappointing in that regards. And again, that was just the only negative of the night, really, and just a couple of goals that we conceded. But all in all, we did what we had to do. We had to get through. We wanted to make the statement. Arteta wanted to make the statement to win all 8, and we've done that. But now the slate's wiped clean, isn't it? Again, it's knockout football now when that comes round. Well, obviously, we've got a lot to do in between now and then. Obviously, Leeds, and then we've got Chelsea. In the second leg of the Carabao, and then Sunderland at home, which we obviously would like to get all 3 points this time after what happened in the last game up there. But all in all, obviously we did what we had to do. A couple of interesting results in the final match day tonight, and kind of know who we could be facing. So a good night. A quick shout to the women as well, who won 6-0 and got through to the final of the women's World Club Championships. They're going to be playing Corinthians at the Emirates on Sunday the afternoon. So let's hope they can win that and get another trophy and stick it in London Colney and get the boys to say, look, we've got 2 trophies. It's time for you guys to put one on the side as well. All good friendly competition there. So let's see. But thanks, Brian, for your time this evening for a quick roundup of what we saw tonight. The general thing is good to see Kai back. Good to see some nice flowing attacking football. The frustrations is just the lack of being clinical again, and the slowing down of the play again in the second half when we should have been more on the front foot. And just hope Madueke can bloody get an assist or something, in the next couple of games, and just get a serious head on really, and realise what he could, if he does a couple of good things, he could go down in history. It could be like like a Wiltord, what Wiltord's done in title runs. When he unsung hero come through and just get a couple of big goals. Maybe that might be his destiny. But let's see. But But yeah,
I
go
think
on.
you know what, Mike. I think yeah. Look, I think the other thing we got to just to take on into consideration is that the players that didn't play tonight, as in the likes of Saka's, obviously Rice was banned anyway, and Marino was banned, but it's good, not to see them.
Yeah,
And
yeah,
it's good not to see them, and kind of for them as well, that kind of mental aspect of right, the game at the weekend is what we've just got to think to set. We've got to right some wrongs.
yeah,
We've,
yeah,
we've got an
yeah,
opportunity to right
yeah,
some wrongs at the
yeah,
weekend, and we've had a week off. We've had to chump at the bit because we've arguably wanted to play as well, because that kind
yeah,
of momentum of, as I said, righting those wrongs. So what I'll be looking to see at the weekend is them really fired up,
yeah,
really, really fired up, and avoiding that, this slow way. We need to put Leeds to bed and put them to bed quite early.
yeah,
If the longer that game goes on, it's another it's another game where where people will start to look at scrutinising this again. To the likes of the players that didn't play tonight, is a great opportunity for them basically to go out there and actually just mark that statement back and say, you know what, these things can happen, but won't happen again, and it all won't happen very often.
yeah, 100%, 100%. So, fingers crossed. They get the message, and we go out with this mantra from Arteta. That it's going to be exciting and fun, and hopefully see some kind of flow in football. But we'll see. We'll see. Like you said, we need to handle business quite early up there, and we know what it's like up there with Leeds. Even I think even last time we played them, I think we won 1-0, and it was quite a sticky one.
Yeah,
And I think the season before that, or after, we won 4-1, I think it was. But yeah, we dealt with them earlier in the season, so they're going to have that in the back of their mind. Obviously, the 5-0 as well. So, but yeah, they're on a good run of form. They've been collecting points. So yeah. But again, it's a cup final. We haven't got to worry about that. We just got to go out there and do the business and make a statement, because we play before the other two now. So this is a chance to get that lead back up to 7 points, and then we just go from there. But thanks, Brian, for your time tonight, man. I really appreciate it. We'll be back after the Leeds game, probably on the Sunday night or the Monday. So we'll flag that up as usual. And obviously it will be kind of a preview for the Chelsea game as well, because obviously that's a big one, and they got a big win tonight as well away from home. So thanks very much for that. Thanks for your time, Brian. Really appreciate it. Thanks for everyone watching. Thanks for all the comments. Really appreciate it. We'll see you in a couple of days after the Leeds game. So all the best. Have a great week. Take care.